to know, read, and appreciate the stories of the past nations' history. So these are the three areas which can contribute in making up one's mind. Instead of just wasting my time, or your time for that matter, on delivering this talk, would invite and kick the interactive session, which probably I'm also looking forward, you're also looking forward. So let's jump to the question. And look at them, they're just nodding, yeah, go there. So let's start there. Okay, thank you. Are you going to call me?
Alishba Khan Barech, hailing from Noshki, with secondary hometown in Quetta. Her standout achievement includes being the only Pakistani from Balochistan to receive a Cambridge University scholarship after being shortlisted in a global essay competition. Alishba, please join us here for the opening questions.
Welcome, Mr. Prime Minister. The students here in this auditorium are among the most privileged students in Pakistan, and against them are millions of marginalized children who don't have access to education. So what do you think, against this backdrop, will the government be able to fulfill the aspirations set out in the Pakistan 2025 vision document?
First of all, it's such a delight to see you in such an accomplished position. Well, coming straight to the question that what a government can or can't, let's have an honest conversation over here, because I never believe in a clever conversation. From where do government does the function of the service delivery? It collects its taxes and then it spends it. And the third source of the revenue is that if you don't have that, you're going to borrow it from the third multilateral entity or outside from someone to fill in that gap. So what is our cycle and what is happening with us? We have got a target of almost 21,000 billion rupees receivable tax or achievable, which we project that we should achieve that. And the receivables are around 7,000 billion rupees. So the gap is of almost 14,000 billion rupees. So you are living in a neighborhood where you have got a very tough situation with your security, terrorism, so forth, and few other things. Along with that, you have to develop an infrastructure to kick the economic growth and the rest. And then you have to couple it and provide the primary education, higher education to different socio-economic background of the people. The population is around 240 million people. How do you do that? How can you do that? The tax evasion is almost more than 10,000 billion rupees. And this is, I am talking about the documented economy, which by the way is almost 20%, and rest of the 80% is non-documented. So there is a non-documented economy, and there is a documented economy in which you cannot receive taxes. You would definitely leave the question, whose responsibility is this to collect all these taxes? Of course, it's the government and government's related department, which is FBR in this case. We have not done it. This is not in last 3 months that we have not been able to hit that target. It is a consistent story with all kind of big leaders, small leaders, mid-sized leaders, military dictators, civilian dispensation. This is a constant story. And this is the challenge of governance. Instead of hysterical criticism of different things, if we start having these sort of rational conversations, we would exactly know where we are failing and why we are failing. Whether it is the health services or the educational services, if you want to ensure and spread it out as a nation, as a country, the first and foremost thing is that you develop your taxation system properly. All of us want to live in a Scandinavian ideal world, like the lifestyle in Norway and Denmark and the rest. Their contribution, tax contribution to their GDP is 91%. Ours is 9%. So I want to have a Denmark for contributing 9% as compared to 91%. It can remain in my wish list, but I can't have that. It's painful. It's painful. It's slow. Both. So what do you do? As a caretaker, I can proudly say that after many, many, many years, we are the one in last quarter, we have achieved our tax target. This is amazing. If we could do it in 3 months, why the rest of the governments can't do? It is for the people like yourself, they need to answer and raise these questions. We did it. It's documented, it's published yesterday that in last quarter, we were able to achieve the tax target in the FBR. So if it can be done in 3 months, it means that it is practical, it's possible, and if it is not happening, there is something very seriously wrong with our governance structure. This is my opinion.
Two is both the people and the government.
Yeah, of course, government is part of the people. I mean, if I am electing a government, so I'm contributing towards that either resolution or the problem. So I am part of the problem. And when you become in the government, and I have lended that support to you, so it means the two of us have brought it to the tango.
Mr. Prime Minister, why do we always go into frenzy and last-minute coping mechanisms, shut down the schools and do this and that? Why can't we be like Beijing and control this issue? I mean, crop burning is one of the prescriptions, but then there is no law enforcement. You go on the motive and people are doing it without any fear of repercussions or them being caught. So what do you have to say about that?
I completely agree with you. I mean, the enforcement is one of the challenges, as you have identified yourself in your question. The poor enforcement is part of the problem of the governance in this country. There are laws, they exist, but if he goes and tries to implement and apprehend that man, you would start agitating that his rights are being violated. And there is a group of rights emerge in this country wherever the law enforcement goes for the enforcement. There are occasions on which the law enforcement also are compliant for multiple reasons. Financial mismanagement, few others, political influence, they are there. But on the other hand, society also has a tendency to stop enforcement. So we are living in this milieu. Poor development and capacity building of the law enforcement agencies, lack of ethos. I mean, if you go and observe your bureaucracy who has to implement, you will be surprised the kind of a value system probably they personally hold. That is appalling, that is shocking, that is disappointing to say the least. We have a structure of a bureaucracy which does not have a sense of identity. That what was the Ottoman Empire? The Janissaries were the most committed group which ensured the structure of the empire. And those Ottomans were able to expand their good or bad agenda till up till Eastern Europe, primarily because of the Janissaries. If you go and see the structure of any nation state, empire, or anywhere in the documented history, there is a structure of the bureau who takes and furthers and forwards the agenda which is linked to that identity. In our case, it's missing. It is unfortunately missing. You don't know who they are enforcing the laws for, or they themselves are pretty much confused. So there is a structural issue at the level of the enforcement, which needs some radical changes, in my opinion. Whether somebody does that or doesn't, you need a civil structure reforms. until and unless you don't do that, from the burning of the crop up till allowing a vehicle on the motorway which is not fit environmentally are both part of the challenge. So we need to address that as soon as possible. I don't know whether this policemen agree with it, but this is my opinion.
But then you mentioned radical change. Who will bring it and how? Like, what is the prescription? Will we keep dying? Our lungs are practically collapsing. So what is the prescription?
Radical changes are required. This is all I can say. By whom? Let's find the noun. Let's find the person or persons in the time. They are placed somewhere in the future. If somebody can peek in the future, they will know it.
But I am still pessimistic. I haven't found the answer, Mr. Prime Minister. Give us a noun.
Well, this is my art to evade answers, you know. It's not the art to give all the answers.
Well, Mr. Prime Minister, now coming to some serious questions. You recently banned all these celebrations on New Year's Eve in solidarity with the Palestinians. While it was well intended, Mr. Prime Minister, it raised two questions. A, about law enforcement, and B, about the global image of Pakistan. I mean, for the first one, celebrations still took place in the absence of law. For the global image, I mean, Pakistan, the only Muslim nuclear-powered country, has now gone to a status that when generations are being literally wiped out, this is what we are doing, banning fireworks. What do you have to say about that?
First of all, there was a lot of criticism also, and there was a lot of appreciation behind this decision. So there is a mix of both. There is a section of society which wanted to celebrate the New Year, and down the line, after 100 years, they wanted to be documented as someone on that particular second, 12 o'clock, 1 second, dancing and having festivity and so on and so forth. So they're very, very critical of this decision, and I don't mind of the criticism. Our intention first was to highlight that in the global community, particularly on the Western Hemisphere, that there is a nation of 240 million people who officially has distanced itself from the festivity because of the kind of the genocide which is being committed by this apartheid state of Israel, which is brutal, which has applied a disproportionate force, whose existence is also at question, but they are expressing this brutal, are displaying the force of this brutality in a very, with impunity. So what are our options? One, do we go to the war? Yes. I'm an interim prime minister. Do you expect me to take the 240 million people to the war? Probably a nuclear war. So you are very quite serious people and raising a very serious question to me. Think about it. Have a grand assembly. Mull over it. I can't alone take such a big decision. It's huge. It's big. Should we go to war? I mean, in my personal opinion, I'm a very aggressive and a jingoistic person. Maybe I would say yes, but don't listen to me. War has implications. War is not a joke. What we have done, we have exploited the forum of OIC, we have exploited other international forums, we have been engaging with Western diplomats, particularly the US diplomats, Brits, Europeans, and clearly enunciating them, telling them that if such behavior continues, it would be responsible for radicalizing the entire 1.4 billion Muslim population throughout the globe, within West and over here, Middle East, North Africa, anywhere. So we are trying, the immediate objective is that somehow or other we stop this senseless war and create a humanitarian corridor. This is the kind of a message which the military leadership recently took the United States. And we were quite clear in our opposition and our condemnation and our commitment towards Palestinians. Is it wise on this occasion to initiate a war? And who are you, me, and anyone else who feels so passionate about Palestine and its cause? We have not lost a finger in this war, this single finger. There 9,000 children have been killed. Let them decide. There is no need to be heroic over here in this peaceful, cozy environment. And just thinking that, oh, I'm so heroic, that because I stand with the oppressed one. It's very good. It's very good, but they are the one who are suffering, they are the one who are facing. Let's take this question first to them, that whether they are willing to take this war and in which direction. Over here they are calling conferences and seminars and speaking with all their rhetorics. I completely understand. I am more radical than all these so-called people who play on these rhetorics. But I try to control my populist tendency. These are very serious. Is there any idea to all of them that what is the situation of Zionism, what is the link to a Judaic religion, how is Palestine already agreed to the historical, 22% of the Palestine to the historical existence of Palestine already. The whole world is talking on the pre-1967 border line with Al-Quds as its present. But here in Lahore or Islamabad, they are addressing the seminars that no, we don't want to accept this and we will never agree to it. Who are you? Have you identified yourself? Who are you? Are you Palestinians? Are you going to reside there? Are you going to counter the state of Israel? Their wrath, their planes, their bullets are my child. I have one by the one. Am I willing to risk his life for this? Or all these who are addressing these conferences? What are their credentials? Primarily it is their right. We should just support them whatever they say. We should be on their side no matter what. Instead of creating a front against the state of Israel, they have started a front against the current government. Wow. Good luck. Great. I get baffled. That what, are you genuinely committed to that cause? Or you just want to abuse me? Go ahead, do it. Am I Netanyahu? And what are the practical suggestions? 1.4 billion Muslims are pondering and thinking about this challenge. I would be only remembered in history for allowing the aerial firing or not, or allowing someone to have a glass of alcohol or not. Let the history judge me. I don't care. I don't care at all. Yes, it was a gesture. The governments, they display small little gestures in the diplomatic communication, so the messages are sent. This message was not for domestic audience, it was more for a global audience. And there was a huge criticism on that account, so let it be.
But sir, the criticism, as you rightly pointed out, there can be some justification for that. Why it's mere ceremonial? We could have done something.
Like?
Why didn't we call out those who are supporting the genocide? They are our allies. Why are we silent and not naming them?
The kind of confrontation we have done with Western diplomats, problem is that I am bound by certain laws that I can't make it public. The kind of passionate and full of emotions, and at times, I'll just give you one small example. Few Western diplomats said that Pakistan should have a balanced view of the crisis in the Middle East, as the Israeli children, they have also been killed. So I asked him that, okay, Excellency, can you, in order to address the anger of the Israelis, which, according to you, also deserves attention. So can you give us a number, how much children do you need to kill so that the Israel anger gets satisfied? 50, 100, 2, 3,000, 2? We just want to have a number. And they were speechless. So of course we do challenge them, confront them, but we cannot make all those things public. For the diplomatic reasons, for the reasons which is known and documented in the statecraft. How do you do statecraft? You don't bring such conversation to the public. And I cannot bring whole of it. I can refer that, well, I had a very strong position vis-a-vis Middle East with diplomats. But I cannot produce it to the public that this is what I have said and these are the sort of replies we have got. No government does that. So why should our government do that?
Mr. Prime Minister, coming to the question of Balochistan, firstly, like, who could have thought the state would be taken over by two Balochistanis?
No, we have not taken over the state, for God's sake. Yeah, okay, carry on.
So, Mr. Prime Minister, the recent happenings in Islamabad has elicited, I mean, I'm speechless. They're my own people. I'm sure you share the same feelings. But the problem is you did condemn and you did call on a meeting and you did form a committee. What do you have to say about the kind of treatment meted out to the protesters, which had large number of women and children? And that brings me to the question as to who will rejuvenate the relationship of Balochistan with the center. I mean, I don't see any reconciliation attempts working anytime soon.
Thank you. How many of you are interested to listen to this question's answer? Quite impressive, okay. First of all, whenever there are protesters, the protests and the agitation has to be within the limits of law. Do we all agree on this? That you have got the right to protest, you've got, no, you don't agree? Okay, good. But when you agitate, every government has certain laws, even in democracies, in dictatorship, they have got their own rules and laws, but it has to be demonstrated by the law. And if those laws are violated, then the role of the enforcement comes that they try to enforce those laws. So this is the general understanding and a civic sense in which a political environment operates in any country. So is the case in Pakistan. This water cannon, which is more criticized or slightly probably more than that, there was a lathi charge also. More than 200 instances I can quote from the European Union where they have used these water cannons to curb, control agitation within those countries. So these are the so-called international best practices. First of all, God forbid, there was not the case that we have shot at children or women, or we have gone to extreme positions. They were the basic tactics of law enforcement, water cannon and others. Because they were stone pelting, which was reported to me, so that stone pelting had to be stopped by someone, by whom? The role of the law enforcement was there to stop them. And after that, they made few arrests, which again is according to the law, their inherent and basic right. And when they were taken to the custody, to different police stations, they were released probably within 48 or 72 hours. Some 30 to 34, which were facing the identity parade, they were the prime suspects for the stone pelting. When they went through that, eventually they have been also released. And still all those women, as we speak here in this hall, they are agitating in front of Islamabad Press Club. That basic right of agitation has been recognized and accepted by the state. What are we doing to them? Why are we being portrayed as followers of pharaohs who have just asked them, don't do the stone pelting? What have we done? I would be interested and I would stand more educated if somebody could tell me that no, you have done the, ordered the shooting or any other extreme measures have been taken by the government. We can talk about the Balochistan situation, reconciliation, relation with the center in a very separate mode. I am willing to respond to that. But as far as this specific incident is concerned, don't you know that they are still agitating? The famous lady who's leading that agitation procession, she's there along with her friends. The journalists in Islamabad, they go, they interview them, they record that interview. They are on the digital space, in electronic media. In every hour's news, there is an allotment of time for them. All of you are aware of it. So what have government done? Oh, a government of Pharaoh. ये फिरौन जो है इन्होंने रोक लिया. वो क्या किया? You tell me, what have we done? Water cannon? Please try to understand that there is a government, and when the government faces a challenge tactically in which there is stone pelting or some other forceful things to change that order, the government has to enforce law. You can demand that no, law cannot be enforced. Then it's a jungle. Law has to be enforced, no matter whether somebody likes it or dislikes it. If you have any other question on Balochistan, I'm willing to answer.
My name is Shabir and I'm from the School of Economics. My question is this, that we've had military operations where our soldiers have given their lives to achieve this peace, and our civilians indirectly gave their lives to achieve this peace. And we saw peace for a few years. So why is this sudden increase in attacks, and who's to blame? Is the government in Afghanistan, the Taliban government, to blame, or has our military might failed us, or have the civilian diplomatic talks failed us? Because at the end of the day, it's our own people who die. It's our own brothers and sisters of the soil who die. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. I think so. This is one of the most pertinent questions I've faced throughout my visits in different universities. Thanks for asking it. There is a discipline in which people in different universities now teach on insurgency and non-state actors. And I would suggest, please, do consult some of the academic work in this area. Usually these insurgencies, they follow certain principles. These non-state actors, they follow some certain principles. One principle is the principality of existence, survivability. This is one of the principles. That their entire strategy revolves around survivability, that how would we survive? Why? Because they always are numerically at a disadvantage. And the states which are fighting them are advantageous as far as the numbers are concerned. Second is the principle of lethality, that if they are more lethal, they will be more receiving attention, they'll be more spectacular, and so on and so forth. So this classic TTP run phenomena is following both the principle of survivability and the principle of lethality. The insurgencies at times, they carry on for centuries. We don't understand and appreciate the nature of such wars. I come from a tribal background. There were two tribes. I'm sure there must be Pashtuns amongst you, Salman Khail and Nasser. There are two major Pashtun tribes. They fought for 135 years amongst themselves. So to us, it's not a surprise. We're quite familiar with such situations. When the Jang-e-Jamal was there, were they brothers or they were enemies to each other? And who were they? Who were they trained by? What sort of quality individuals they were? So I don't feel that they are my brothers. I don't. I feel anyone is my brother or sister who's peaceful. The one who reverts to violence loses the right of brotherhood. That is a point which needs to be noted, which needs to be discussed, which needs to be understood. For instance, God forbid, I'm giving a very bad example. One amongst the siblings, one sibling eliminates, kills his brother or sister. How would he be treated by the parents? And even if he's forgiven, he kills another one. And then another one. So what do? You have to be clear on all such strategic angles. I am a staunch Deobandi Pashtun. So what should I do? Make Hakimullah Masood my hero? I have exercised my choice. I am with State of Pakistan. He is not my brother, he is my enemy. And you try to eliminate enemies. Anyone who is challenging in violent terms through organized crime, politically, ethnically, religiously, is the enemy of the state, is the enemy of that social order. You can have all kinds of disagreements, but no one can give you the license to kill. No one can give you the right to eliminate the other. So the responsibility of the state is, inshallah, we are ensuring that we have a plan. It is not a challenge that they will prevail on the state of Pakistan. Never. Inshallah. You can be a tahajjud guzar or a very liberal man. That is your choice. But no violence.
Yes. Zainab Hamid.
Assalamu alaikum, Prime Minister. First of all, a very warm welcome to you, and I think me, myself, and everyone else here is honored to be interacting with you here today. I'm going to proceed with my question. सवाल मैं आपसे उर्दू में करूँगी और सवाल ये है कि हमने अक्सर औकात ये देखा है कि अगर हमने यूसुफ रज़ा गिलानी साहब को हटाना हो या नवाज शरीफ साहब को हटाना हो या इवन कि अगर आपने कासिम के अब्बा को गिरफ्तार करवाना हो तो हमारी अदालतें रात के 12 बजे भी खोल दी जाती हैं, लेकिन जब भी कोई ज़ैनब मर्डर केस या मोटरवे गैंग रेप केस या इस तरह का कोई भी केस होता है तो हमारी अदालतें बंद रहती हैं। नूर मुकद्दम केस पे हमने ये देखा कि हमारी अदालत खोली गई। My question to you is, isn't justice denied, justice late, justice denied? That's my only question.
Thank you for asking in Urdu. उर्दू ज़बान मुझे बड़ी पसंद है। ऐसा नहीं है कि मैं उर्दू की अदायगी में मुझे कोई मसला है। बहुत सारे लोग ये समझते हैं कि मैं अपनी अंग्रेज़ी दानी छाड़ना चाहता हूँ। دیکھو آپ نے پوری بات جو کی ہے اپنے سوال میں اپنا جواب بھی میرے خیال میں دے چکی ہیں آپ. میرے لیے کہنے کو بہت کم چھوڑا ہے آپ نے، لیکن اس کے باوجود میں کچھ نہ کچھ ضرور کہوں گا اس پہ. یہ جو پورا کا پورا نظام عدل ہے اس پہ بڑے سنگین سوالات ہیں، اور جب تک اس نظام عدل کو ہم ایڈریس نہیں کریں گے، اس میں کسی کا ابا ہو یا کسی کی اماں ہو یا کسی کی باجی ہو یا وہ خود ہو، محفوظ رہنا مشکل ہے. یہی آپ کو پروٹیکٹ کرتا ہے نا یہ نظام، اور وہ چند رہنما اصول ہوتے ہیں آپ کے. مسئلہ یہی ہے کہ قاسم کے ابا جب خود ہوتے ہیں نا تو ان کو حمید کی اماں بالکل نظر نہیں آ رہی ہوتی، وہ ناؤنس کے جھگڑے میں پھنس جاتے ہیں. جب تک میں ہوں آج تو مجھے سب کچ درست نظر آ رہا ہے، جب کل آپ اس جگہ پہ ہوں گی تو وہ مجھے درست نظر نہیں آ رہا ہوگا. ایک تو اس رویے سے تبدیل کی ضرورت ہے، اور سیٹلڈ ہونا ہوگا اصولوں پہ، پرنسپلز پہ، کہ چاہے اس کا اطلاق مجھ پہ ہو یا آپ پہ ہو پھر وہ یکساں ہو. ہمارا بنیادی مسئلہ یہی ہے کہ اگر ریاست کے چند ادارے ان سے میں مستفید ہو رہا ہوں تو میں ان کو والد کا درجہ دینا شروع کر دیتا ہوں. دیا ہے نا. جب مستفید نہیں ہو رہا ہوتا ہوں تو پھر شاید سوتیلا باپ بنا لیتا ہوں. یہ وہ مسائل ہیں جو سبجیکٹو انداز میں ہم تمام کو اس پہ سوچنا چاہیے، بولنا چاہیے، غور کرنا چاہیے. اگر واقعتاً ان کو والد نہیں بنانا تو ونس اینڈ فار آل فیصلہ کر لو اور پھر خود والد بنو. والد جب گھرانے کی سربراہی کرتا ہے نا تو ذمہ داری لیتا ہے، وہ پھر بچوں کے نان نفقے کا تمام کی تمام ذمہ داری خود اٹھاتا ہے. وہ پھر ہمسائے میں حمید کے والد سے نہیں کہتا کہ یار ذرا میرے بچوں کا خیال رکھ دینا. اگر حمید کے والد کی طرف دیکھے رہو گے نا تو قاسم کے ابا کا مسئلہ ذرا خراب ہی رہے گا. یہ استعاری گفتگو ہے کیونکہ آپ نے استعارے میں کی ہے اس لیے میں جواب بھی اس میں دے رہا ہوں. کھل کے پوچھا ہو تو میں کھل کے بتاتا ہوں.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. My name is Umar Khan, and I'm a 7th semester student from the School of Computer and Information Technology. So a lot of students like myself are about to graduate across Pakistan, and a lot of us would like to stay in the country and contribute to society and the economy as well. However, the best and brightest often choose to go abroad because they have better opportunities there. My question is, Your Excellency, what is being done to keep the talent in Pakistan and to develop it here, and what is the strategy that the government is taking to prevent the so-called brain drain that our country is experiencing?
I think so in the best interest of Pakistan is that we should have both. The youngsters should explore opportunities abroad, and they are not a brain drain at all. They would always remain our assets. Who's your Vice Chancellor? He was a fresh graduate, some days, somewhere here in the city of Lahore, and he, according to this definition of the brain drain, he went there and he spent 10 or 15 years or whatever, and now he returns and he runs this institution. Is he an asset or a brain drain? This is the phenomena we need to understand, this cycle. I've been saying this repeatedly, that why it is skewed and distorted, this whole, first of all, this is not a recent phenomena that the youngsters want to settle in Western Hemisphere, US, UK. I am witness, all of us know this, that the longest queues of the young generations are always outside the US Embassy. It's been a trend. Everybody wanted to go there because of the kind of the American dream, because of the kind of lifestyle, because the kind of opportunities they offer. Indians want to do it, Sri Lankans want to do it, Pakistanis want to do it, Bengalis want to do it, Brits want to do it, Japanese wants to do it, Germans want to do it. There is a huge global American influence, particularly America. And During the 60s, everybody was criticizing that, oh, the Indians population, a huge section is going and it is becoming a brain drain. Down the line, after 3 decades, most of the became brain assets. They returned to the Indian society, invested back what expertise they got from there, what capital they got from there, and it is triggering, accelerating the economic growth of India. So please don't take this as a negative tendency. It's not. We are able to export our services. This is our accomplishment. Why are we so depressed about it? I hardly see a reason. If he or she, anyone goes anywhere on the planet, they remain at least for 3 generations attached to this society and state. There is a classic case study of your diaspora in UK. 3 generation people are living still in Mirpur. They don't divorce from this structure all the way. Yes, we need to produce better human resource. We should focus on the quality human resource. That should be our concern. Best nurses, best doctors, best IT experts. We are compromising on that. We are not producing good quality individuals, and we are all worried about, oh, all of them have gone to the Western Hemisphere. That is the wrong concern. The right concern, in my opinion, be that you should focus the kind of skills they are imparting in such places like this. And that is a huge challenge. I'm sharing it with you.
Please introduce yourself.
Assalamualaikum, Prime Minister. I'm Hafsa Khalid and I'm from the Institute of Psychology. And consequently, my question pertains to the mental health situation in Pakistan. So the mental health situation in Pakistan, there are regulatory bodies, there's Pakistan Psychological Association, there's also a task force. My question is, why don't they do anything? I've seen, and all of us have seen, a lot of unethical practices being carried out within the field. So why don't they actually do something to regulate mental health practitioners, as it is done with other fields, such as if you're a doctor, you are constantly being monitored. Why does that not happen with mental health practitioners?
Thank you. One of the challenges when I interact with the people, that they probably presume me in a role of a settled prime minister, a permanent prime minister who's got a backing of the parliament, where he can go back and do the legislation as a wrap of the executive, which in my case, it's not. On the other hand, there are people who just want to see that my face vanishes as soon as possible, even before the 8th of February. So this is the kind of a balance I have to keep. I absolutely agree we need regulations. We need regulations for the mental health practices and few other areas also. We lack good regulations, good rules and regulations even for medical education, be it for nursing council, nursing schools, medical schools. I have appointed a special assistant who can focus on medical education. And I would try to include this mental health also, because it's larger, the same family, you know. But we do have these limitations. I, as a caretaker government, cannot go for the legislation. The maximum which we can do and which we are trying to do is develop the drafts, put them in the law department, and once the parliament is there, the draft could be sent to them, the homework would be done, they may take advantage of that. That's all the maximum we can do. Thanks.
Next question.
सर मेरे 2 सवाल हैं आपसे. पहला ये है कि आप डिफरेंट यूनिवर्सिटी से आपको डिफरेंट स्टूडेंट्स ने बड़े मुश्किल सवाल पूछे हैं और आपने उनका बड़ा ज़बरदस्त जवाब दिया है. یہ موٹیویشن آپ کو کہاں سے آئی؟ اور میں نے سنا ہے کہ آپ کتابیں بہت زیادہ پڑھتے ہیں، یہ شوق آپ کو کب اور کیسے پیدا ہوا؟
اچھا، ایک تو میں پہلی مرتبہ 2015-16 میں ڈاکٹر عادل نجم صاحب ہیں ہارورڈ میں پڑھاتے، انہوں نے مجھے ہارورڈ فورم آف پاکستان پہ بلایا تھا. اس وقت میں ترجمان تھا صوبائی حکومت کا، اور آئی واز پریولیج ٹو ایڈریس ہارورڈ فورم آف پاکستان. دیر واز اے ہیوج آڈینس لائک دس ون. وہاں سے مجھے یہ لت پڑی. اگر آپ نے کسی بندے کو تلاش کرنا ہے کہ اس کی وجہ کون تھا، ان کا نام ہے ڈاکٹر عادل نجم. وہ تسلسل چلتا رہا. پھر وائس آف بلوچستان میں وی ہیڈ اپرچونیٹی ٹو انٹریکٹ ود ڈفرینٹ یونیورسٹیز، اسٹوڈنٹس. لوگوں کو شاید میری پولیٹیکل جرنی کا یہ حصہ ان کے علم میں نہیں. ہم سیمینارز کنڈکٹ کرتے تھے ان کراچی یونیورسٹی، بلوچستان یونیورسٹی، خزدار یونیورسٹی، تربت، وائڈ رینج. اس سے لگ بھگ کئی سالوں سے میرا تسلسل کے ساتھ یہ عمل رہا. اب وہ اچانک میں وزیر اعظم بن گیا تو میں نے کہا چلو یار وہ کام دوبارہ کرتے ہیں. تو مجھے اس میں پہلے بھی لطف آتا تھا اور اب بھی لطف آتا ہے. آپ جیسے پیارے لوگ مل جاتے ہیں، گپ شپ لگ جاتی ہے، کوئی اندازہ ہوتا ہے کہ یہ فیوچر جنریشن جا کس طرف رہی ہے. اور جہاں کتابوں کو میں کتابیں سجاتا جاتا ہوں، پڑھتا کم ہوں. ویسے ہی میرے متعلق جو ہے نا ایک تاثر بنا دیا گیا کہ میں بہت کتابیں پڑھتا ہوں. کوئی اتنی زیادہ بھی نہیں پڑھتا ہوں، کبھی کبھی پڑھ لیتا ہوں، کبھی کبھی پڑھ لیتا ہوں. لیکن آپ لوگوں کو پڑھنی چاہیے اور بہت زیادہ پڑھنی چاہیے. تو اس کو جو ہے نا آپ نیگیٹو پیرائے میں نہ لیں. کتاب پڑھنا جو ہے نا وہ زندگی کا سب سے خوبصورت عمل ہے. آپ دیکھیں نا کہ اللہ نے بھی اپنی بات پہنچانے کے لیے کتاب کو چنا. کتاب کی اہمیت کتنی زیادہ ہے، ورنہ اللہ کسی اور میڈیم اور ذریعے کے ساتھ بھی اپنی بات پہنچا سکتے تھے. وہ قادر ہے ہر چیز پہ، لیکن اپنے لیے بھی انہوں نے کتاب کو چنا. تو کتاب کو مقدم رکھے، اس کا احترام کرے، اس کی عزت کرے، اور اس کے ساتھ مسافر بن کے رہے، سفر اسی کے ساتھ کریں. تھینک یو.
We're going to take two more questions, one from this side. Rida.
So my question is, آپ نے شروع میں بات کی تھی کہ a successful nation requires efforts from both sides, the government and the people, because the government is a representation of the people, elected by the people. So my question would be, what incentive does a layman have to change their value system radically, as you put it, rightfully so? What incentive do they have to change their value system when the national structure rewards nepotism, corruption and cruelty? Thank you.
देखते रहिए सुनो न्यूज़.